Hello, everyone. Welcome into another edition of School Talk here on 98.5 WJHI, LP Jeffersonville, home of the Red Devil Network. I am Clay Abels, the sports director of WJHI. We had a great conversation earlier on our last edition with Coach Andrew Grants, the new boys basketball coach of Jeffersonville High School. And now we welcome in another new head coach for Jeffersonville basketball, the new girls head coach of Jeffersonville basketball, Missy Voyles. How are we doing today, Coach Voyles?
I'm doing great.
Awesome time here at Jeffersonville. As we mentioned, two new coaches coming in within the last week. And when we talked to Coach Grants last week, he has a tremendous resume. And Missy, a tremendous resume of yourself. Back-to-back state finals coming off of at North Harrison. Tremendous run there at your time. You had two separate stints at North Harrison. Talk a little bit about your time at North Harrison, what ultimately led you to becoming the head coach at Jeffersonville.
I coached for 8 years, and then I took a 6-year break in between when I had my third son. So when he started school, the job was just happened to be open again. So I went back for another 8 years, and then just opted out for a year. Kind of thought I was done, thought I was retiring, and then about 9 months later, I found myself coaching again. Really just, had a conversation with someone about what the job was going to be up here. And they said, well, you interested in it? I said, well, I might be. So kind of started that conversation there, and here I am.
Now, I know you have a great relationship with the principal, Pam Hall, who we've had on the show before. I'm sure she was a booster in helping you to come over here. You all actually played basketball together back in the day, correct?
Yes.
See, now she's somebody that's a great asset to have in your corner, being the principal. When you decided to make the move over here, how important was she as a factor to make the decision to become the head basketball coach?
Very important. Just having a strong leader like she will be, that I know is going to be supportive of everything I do. It's very much, you want administrators that are going to be supportive of you at all times, and that's exactly the feel I've gotten so far being here.
Here with Missy Voyles, the head coach of Jeffersonville girls basketball, just elected last week for Jeffersonville High School. One of the things we mentioned to start off the show is great success coming in at North Harrison, back-to-back state finals. What made those teams so successful, and maybe something that the fans of Jeffersonville can look forward to, your style as a coach and how you lead a team out into the court?
They were a group of kids that really started playing together very young for the most part. And they played a lot. They played a lot in the summer. They worked on their individual skills a lot. They had great chemistry and friendship off the court. And I think that really kind of led them to the direction they ended up getting into the state finals. They were just very competitive from a very early age and just really dedicated to what they did.
I know you had that group for a long period of time to help groom them and make them into a back-to-back state finals team. How important, when you look at coaching today, is development, not only at the high school level, but making sure you have good middle school feeder programs and you're building up throughout that? And what are some of your plans to get involved with the middle school so when they come to Jeff High, they're as prepared as possible?
Well, I think it's important to get your middle school coaches on board with what you want as far as basic fundamental skills with ball handling and footwork and hands and different things that you really want taught young, so that you don't find yourself doing that as much at the high school level. If they come in understanding those things, it makes life a little easier. And I think the rapport that you build is extremely important. I think I need to be there. I mean, you need to establish those relationships really young. So, I will attend as much as I can just to get to know those kids before they ever get here.
And you had a great coaching staff going back with you at North Harrison. Somebody on your staff were the Hintons, who are very famous from being coaches all throughout Southern Indiana. Would you learn coaching with the Hintons, both from Joe's side and also his wife, something that you took away and helped you become a better coach?
I started actually coaching with them at New Albany. Angie and I was her assistant coach for a while, and while I was assisting her, I would go sit behind Joe's bench at Floyd Central, and you learn a lot just listening to what he says. Angie is a great fundamental coach. And I learned a lot about breaking things down into smaller 3-on-3 and 2-on-2 segments and just really focusing on the details of what you do. And Joe is probably the best strategist I've ever met. I mean, he knows more about the game than any person ever should. And taking him along with me to scout games, he really made me learn to change the way I scouted and how he saw teams, and then how he would turn that back into practice. So I loved to take him with me anytime I was scouting because of just his insight on what he was watching, and I learned a lot from that. But he could draw something up. It was amazing. If something wasn't going well, and you could go, well, if we just do this and we set a screen here, this will be open, that'll isolate. And he could just create offense if he would watch a game film and come back and say, I was thinking this team's going to do this and we can do this. And Just always thinking the game and just full of knowledge all the time. So, and, I give them a lot of credit for that group we took to state, because that was their group that they started when they were like 7, and they started working with those kids fundamentally. When they came into high school, they were a very fundamentally sound, intelligent group of basketball players.
Now, for you, one of the things people always question when a coach comes in, what's the style of play? What are we going to see on the court? What kind of lends more to your style as a coach? What do you like to see from a team? Are you more upbeat, fast run and gun, or do you like to slow it down? What's type of your style of coaching would you say for fans to expect?
It's funny. I've been texting with the Jeff team this past week and getting to know them a little bit. And one of the things that I had told them was, I like to play fast, if at all possible. I like to play fast. So with that in mind, you might want to start getting yourself in shape. So that was an interesting conversation with a few of them that came back. And one of them was like, I am totally ready to do this. And I said, whoever thought running would be fun? And I'm going to screenshot this and remind you of that in November when you'd feel differently about this. But, I kind of let my team dictate. There's some teams that can really run, and you can set them loose to do that, and we play as fast as we can play. And then there's other teams that sometimes you have to slow down a little bit. It kind of depends on your personnel. My preference is to run, and if we can beat you down the floor and score, we're going to. And if you can get back and make us run an offense, that's great too. But, I got to kind of see what I have personnel-wise and how fast they can play.
Here with Missy Voyles, the head coach of Jeffersonville girls basketball. You just mentioned, this is something I talked about with Coach Grants a couple of days ago, was connecting with the team. How difficult is this right now with Corona, not being able to be in the building as much, the players can't come in? How have you been able to reach out to the team and your potential staff? What are you doing there to try to keep everybody on the same page?
Well, it's more difficult for me because I would rather be face-to-face having conversations, but in their world, social media and text messaging is honestly what they prefer. They would probably flip a little bit if I started making phone calls. So they're probably a little happier that I'm introducing myself and having conversations with them through text message. I've established grade level group messaging, and I've been sending stuff out to them, just, happy Monday, here's my thoughts for the day. And, so they're fairly comfortable with it, but at the same time, they're itching to get back to some normalcy. They're really looking forward to being in the gym in July.
Now, what describes a Missy Voyles player? Something that I've noticed from seeing you from a distance over the last couple of years, you compete with a very tough team. So when somebody comes here as a player, and they're coming in from 8th grade, and they're coming in to be a high school basketball player, what are you trying to mold out of them, not only as a player, but as a person? What do they want? What are you looking for from your players when they come into Jeff High?
Well, I think the key thing here is that I see basketball as a small picture in the big picture of all the things you have to do in your life, and I'm hoping that we teach kids to handle failure as well as success. And if you're working on that, you're teaching them to handle things, be mentally tough in an arena that sometimes isn't easy, and then hopefully they translate that into life. So I think there's a lot to learn from basketball. I'm not easy. I do challenge you. I do push. But in the end, I have a friend of mine who says my hard shell is to cover up my soft underbelly. So most people see the hard shell and find it a little intimidating, I think. But overall, my goal is to create strong, good human beings that know what it means to work hard for something and achieve it.
And with that, when you're talking about players and connecting with people, connecting with the fan base, obviously a bigger school here at Jeffersonville, a bigger basketball fan base that's been very supportive for a long period of time. How do you expect and try to connect with the fans and the community at this point? Obviously, you said very difficult with Corona, but what are some of your plans to get people excited about Jeff basketball?
Well, just, getting the kids to play hard and be fun to watch. And I used to tell my kids a lot. I actually went into a game one time and said, you guys should go out and give everyone their money back because you did not perform worth their $5 each. So, getting them to understand that it's more than them. And I think when kids start playing, understanding that they don't just play for themselves, they play for every person who walks in that gym and pays to get in tonight, that it makes people want to come out and support them because they are playing hard and they are fun to watch. So, that's the number one goal, I think, getting kids to just want to play for their community as much as they do for themselves. And I tend to want to be involved from kindergarten on up. So, by the time the kids get to high school, they've known me from the time they were little bitty. So it makes a little different rapport, a little different relationship.
From a fan standpoint, everybody kind of puts expectations in a win or loss column. That's where everything goes to. For you, for getting wins and losses, what are your expectations when you come in from day one with this team, and what's your goal throughout year one? That, hey, these are the building blocks we want to establish for the long-term plan here at Jeff High?
I think the building blocks is just getting them to play the style of play that I want them to play, and to be able to understand that coaching is not personal, and there's going to be times you're not going to like me very much, and you probably shouldn't sometimes, but that I'm pushing you for your own good, and just getting them to get into the frame of mind of how I want the game played.
And the last question here for Coach Missy Voyles, the new head basketball coach for Jeffersonville girls basketball, is if there's one thing you want the parents to know, the players to come into, and the community at this point, what's the number one thing you want people to have on their mind and say, hey, this is what Missy Voyles is about, and this is what we can expect as her as the head coach?
Parents in general, just that I want what's best for your kids too. I'm here because I care about them, and I want them to work hard, and I'm not unapproachable. Feel free to come in and talk to me about your kids, because we're on the same page with that.
That'll be a big factor coming in. Obviously, you said it would be fun to get you out and connected with the community. Hopefully, things open up here in the next couple of weeks with all the changes, as we said, due to the coronavirus and all the different factors that come into it. But either way, it's great speaking with you today, Coach Missy Voyles, the new head coach of Jeffersonville girls basketball. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you.
That is Missy Voyles, the new head coach of Jeffersonville girls basketball. Another edition of School Talk in the books here with the new head coach of Jeffersonville girls basketball, Missy Voyles. School Talk replayed every day at 1 and 7 p.m. here on TV Cable 184, also on WJHI.com and 98.5 FM. If you want to keep tuning into the show, keep updated on the WJHI social media page and also the Red Devil Network. If you have any questions, please contact us there. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of School Talk here on 98.5 WJHI LP Jeffersonville, home of the Red Devil Network. Thank you and have a great day.